Hello, Put Me in Coaching family. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, hope everyone had some quality time and got some relaxation and just time to regroup. I know I certainly did. I got to spend quality time with family, friends, and football. So, what more could you ask, right? And so, I've been watching a ton of football this weekend, and it brought up the concept of goals. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And not in the sense of setting goals, but in the sense of what do we do once we've set our goals? Okay. So if you're watching live, go ahead, just drop a hashtag live in the comments or go ahead and like the video. If you're watching the replay, again, like the video, drop a hashtag replay in the comments. Doesn't matter when you get the information, just as long as you are getting the information, right? You continue to show up for yourself and choose yourself and opt in because we remember our 7-step signature system. What's the first step? Opt in. And that's the same for goal setting and just chasing our goals, right? We have to opt in every single day. And even further, every single time we make a decision, we have to opt in and decide, am I going to continue to go on the path of my goals? Or am I going to let temporary and instant gratification take over and let it derail me from my goals? Okay. Because most of the time, that instant gratification, that's that dopamine hit, that's that sugar addiction, that's the things we get that are not moving us toward our goals. And so we have to start looking at things a little differently. But when we talk in the sense of opt in, then education, of course, right? When we know better, we do better. Accountability, tracking, behavior modification, that's a big one when we talk about reaching new goals because we have to change our actions or else we're going to continue to get the same results over and over again. Okay. And then, of course, we've got celebrate the wins. And then we have give back. And I want to challenge you in a sense of giving back. When we think about give back, that can mean so many different things. Okay. And when I think of it in terms of this coaching business or even my other businesses, I think about how can I teach the people to do the things that I did because I've lived it, I've breathed it. So, how can I inspire and teach the people to do what I did? Because at the end of the day, and I say this all the time, I'm not special. I just chose to do the work and I implemented the discipline that it took to achieve those goals. But I actually set goals. And you can see I have right here, I've been much more intentional about my manifesting and my I am statements and affirmations and all that, right? It's sitting right next to me here. I had to change up the way I did it because what I found, what I used to do it at night right before bed, and that worked for a long time. But then what I found was that wasn't working as well anymore. It wasn't getting done because what was happening is with one of my businesses, I was staying up a little later. And then it was like, man, I'm exhausted because I've stayed up and I've got to be up early. And so things just weren't getting done. And so now I've gone back to doing them in the mornings. But even then, I still used to do them in my bedroom. And even that wasn't working. So I had to change. And so when we have goals, it doesn't mean that we're failing when we're not reaching our goals. It may just mean we need to shift. Okay, so when we think about it in terms of the what we eat, what we think, and what we do, obviously we're setting goals when it comes to our health around those three things. Well, the what I think was not clicking, it wasn't firing because it wasn't getting done. So it wasn't that I wasn't reaching the goal and wasn't setting the goal. I was absolutely setting the goal, but it wasn't getting done because of outside factors, right? So I had to change the environment. And sometimes it just takes changing the environment to be able to reach our goals. Now, what do I mean by that? So that could just mean get the junk out of the house, right? I just had a conversation with one of my neighbors today, and we talked about how a lot of times, like, we both will take stuff over to granddad's house that we know we don't need to have in our house, right? If it ends up in our house. And don't worry, he gets checked by like, everything is good. He's healthy, but he is one of those people that can just eat it and he'll be okay, right? But that's not the case here. I don't need cake and ice cream and all that in my house. It's not going to serve me well, right? So it gets packed up and sent away. And one of my neighbors was talking about how she does that too. She'll, if there's something that she can't have or shouldn't have a lot of, right, needs to eat it in moderation, she gets rid of it. And so my point to that is maybe it's just you need to change the environment. So maybe that's packing up all the junk that's in your house and getting rid of it. It might mean throwing good, quote unquote, good unexpired food away, but who cares if it doesn't bring you towards your goals, right? Replace it with stuff that is not expired and that is good for you, that is on plan, right? And sometimes that's a tough decision and we justify it because, again, that instant gratification, we justify it in our minds with, well, I can't throw away perfectly good food. And in a perfect world, no, we shouldn't. But at the end of the day, if it's not moving you towards your goals and it's becoming a problem and it's hindering your progress, get rid of it. All right. So when we talk about setting goals, it really kind of brought to mind. So, right, we talked last week about accountability and just the different levels of accountability. But I want to talk about the level of where we just hope. Right? We just hope. That's I write everything down, I'm scripting, I'm doing what I need to do, but I'm just hoping it gets better. I'm not actually taking action to get it better. That's a problem. That's skipping step 5, behavior modification. Hope is not a strategy. We have to think about it. And if we've thought about it, if we've thought, hey, I wonder if I could, then guess what? You absolutely can. You're already speaking it into existence. You just have to change your behaviors to get there. And some goals may take a lot longer than others. It just completely depends on what the goal is, right? If we set a goal, okay, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen overnight. That's not going to happen in a month or 2 months. Set realistic expectations for yourself, and then you've got to change the behavior around it. All right. But then when we have those goals, right? Goals are just temporary actions to achieve a specific want, right? We have to change our actions permanently. So those goals have to be baked into our identity. We have to shift our identity. And that's where that step 5 comes in. We are no longer temporarily changing our actions. We are permanently changing our actions so that we've modified our behavior. So those goals not only are achieved, but they're maintained. Okay. So they're not only achieved, but they're maintained because we change our behavior around it. Okay. And so I really want to talk about what does it look like? And I want you to get very honest with yourself as we talk about this part. Okay. What happens when you don't reach a goal by a specific time? And the reason I ask that is because goals have to have those timelines on it. Otherwise, it's just a dream, right? It's just a hope because we haven't placed a specific timeline on it. But does that mean that we achieve our goals by exactly that date all the time? No. But it's how we respond and how we move forward that really defines us. Because just because you don't hit it by the date that you wrote it down doesn't mean you're not closer to it. I have some big goals for my business by December 15th, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not on track to hit them right now. But that's okay because I'm closer than I was when I set the goal. So I just have to adjust when we get to that December 15th date, right? I just have to adjust a little bit. And that's okay. All right? Because I'm in the process of changing my identity to becoming the person that has set those goals, becoming the person that it takes to achieve those goals. And so until I become that person, it's just not possible, right? So you can't think your way into action, but you can act your way into thinking differently. I want you to write that down, right? You cannot think your way into action, but you can act your way into thinking differently. And that's where the resiliency and the discipline shows up. Because if we act as if we've already achieved those goals, that's why we script it as if it's already happened. We're creating the subconscious mind that says, hey, I am this person. I have changed my identity. Okay. So you can't think your way into that. You have to act, you have to do something. And that's why every day I have a scripting statement that says, I take daily action towards my goals. And I accept failure as part of the process of success because failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is a part of success. Because if success only happened linearly, nobody would ever be successful, right? But it's what happens and how you respond when you have those valleys, because there will be peaks and valleys. And it's how you respond. And it's that mental resiliency that is key when you get to where, hey, maybe I'm in a little bit of a down season, right? I had a huge goal for this month and I didn't reach it. It's okay, right? I have to get very honest with myself. Did I take the action that I needed to take? Probably not as much as I should have. And that's okay. I also had some big goals that I did hit this month. I actually exceeded, right? I had big, huge goals with my world competition. Okay. I set those goals and I crushed those goals, right? I did better than I anticipated. So you have to look at it from both sides because that was the focus. Some other stuff kind of got put to the wayside a little bit, and that's okay. That's what had to happen this month. And that just was what it was. And so now I have to get very honest. Okay. What were my goals that I didn't hit this month? And then I have to say, what am I going to do to change that? And I've already started changing it. I've already implemented, right? I've got a plan of action going into the beginning of December. So I'm not in the same boat at the end of December. So this is what we have to do when we think about our goals. We can't think about missing a goal as a failure. We just think, okay, how do I adjust? How do I reset the goal? How do I change the timeline a little bit to move it out a little? Because how many people have quit? And just imagine quitting when all you had to do was just try again one more time and you would have achieved your goal. Right? Fall down 7 times, get up 8. I heard somebody speaking and they said, did you know Thomas Edison had 1,000 failed experiments? 1,000. Well, no, we didn't know that because 1,001 was the light bulb. He set a goal and he failed over and over and over, but it doesn't mean he wasn't successful. It just means he got one step closer to success and achieving his goals with every failure. And that's how we have to look at it. It's part of the process. And that's where so many people, myself included, over the years, we get derailed because we just feel like, oh my gosh, I blew it. I'm such a failure. I can't do this. There's a million things that go through our heads. Why hasn't this happened faster? Why am I not making the progress as fast as I want to? And that's where we have to get really honest with ourselves. Are you doing everything you possibly can to achieve your goal? Or is there maybe something you can do just 1% better that will get you even better results? So I want you to really think about the goals that you have for 2026. And remember, on the 14th, we're not going to have class. We're going to do a separate goal setting workshop. One of my mentors is hosting, and she's invited us to allow people to come on. And she's a phenomenal leader, not only in business, but she has truly changed her health over the last year. And so she's just an incredible person to hear from. And I'm so excited for you to hear from her and learn from her. And I think what that's going to do is that's going to help you solidify. So over these next 2 weeks, I want you to really think about what are the goals that you could see yourself achieving in 2026. And then you're going to solidify them in the workshop. Okay. But I want you to think now, what's a small goal I can set for December? Because we're in a position, we have an entire month, right? This is the last day of the month. So starting tomorrow, we have an entire month to make significant progress towards something, right? When I originally did my Health Accelerator journey, I averaged losing about 15 pounds a month. Well, that's significant progress, right? Imagine how much better you would feel 10 to 15 pounds lighter if weight loss is your goal, right? How much better would you feel if you could just reduce the internal inflammation by staying on track for 4 weeks? We can do anything for 30 days. And so I want you to get really clear about what it is that you're going to focus on this month at getting better at. So last month, I really took a lot of time to get better at the what I think, right? I had to tighten that up and get that back on track. And that's there. So now it's time for me for December to solidify the what I eat and what I do. Right. And the what I do, not so much exercise wise, I've got that down, but more of the what I do in my day to day business activity. Right. Because again, all of these principles can be applied to business, relationships, health, all of the above. Right. It's everything. So, what is it that you are going to focus on enhancing just this next month? And you're going to take the next 30, there's really 31 days in December, right? So, take the next 31 days, and that's your main focus. And then really think about what is it that you want to achieve in 2026 when it comes to your health. And you can throw some different financial and career goals in there as well, relationship goals, all of those things, because it's going to be a 2.5 hour workshop on the 14th. And she will go over that with everybody in detail, right? It's going to be great. So that is going to be a 2.5 hour class starting at 4 p.m. Eastern on the 14th. So I will make sure that you all have the link. I don't have the link to it yet. She's going to be sending that out this week. So I'll make sure you all have that. I may have to change the time for next week's class. We will still have it on Sunday. I just don't know the exact time yet. If you don't hear anything, it will be at the same time. But I will make an announcement and send a message to everyone if I do have to adjust the time. All right. So really think about what is it that you want to achieve in the next 31 days. What's one thing you're going to focus on? And then start jotting down some ideas for goals for 2026, and you'll solidify those on the 14th. All right. So I will see you back here next week. Tentatively 7 p.m. But if the time changes, I will send you a personal message and let you know. But until then, I am wishing you all the success. Remember, we cannot think our way to success. We have to act our way into thinking better, right? So just take action this week. That is your assignment. Take action and move yourself toward your goals at least 1% a little bit more this week. All right. So I will see you back here next Sunday. And in the meantime, wishing you all of the success. If you need anything, reach out and I will be happy to talk with you about any programs or anything like that that you may need for the coming new year. So I am super proud of each and every one of you for tuning in, getting the information, getting the education, and continuing to choose yourself by opting in. So I'll see you back here next Sunday. And until then, all the success. Bye, everyone.